The culture is absolutely...
The gut ain't running there. Calling both games.
As we all know, whenever Arizona doesn't outright shit the bed in the regular season, that is cause for celebration for the Bidwells. Kliff Kingsbury's teams may collapse every goddamn year, and Steve Keim hasn't proven he can build a consistent winner, but this season was good enough to extend them both. Have fun with that, Cardinals fans. You know what? Have fun with Kyler Murray's endless screaming into the wind as well. In between deleting everything off social media and releasing a word salad via his agent, Kyler was trying to say something, but I ain't reading all that shit. Maybe he didn't like the Cardinals executive that all but called him a bitch off the record. Despite this random blip of drama, things seem to have been patched up on this front. Keywords here are seem to be. On the free agent front, not as bombastic as Kyler's social media exploits. Mostly minor moves, extending James Conner, and shedding a ton of pieces to other teams. I hope you have a decent plan in place to replace them all, Arizona. Chandler Jones was pretty good for you last year, you know. Soap operas are the part of the football season I look forward to the most. In the desert, we may be seeing one begin to mold. On the first page, we see DeAndre Hopkins, who has been suspended for 6 games for a trace amount of an illegal drug during a test. For Hollywood Brown, there was no trace amount. He was arrested for criminal speeding months after the Cardinals traded for him. Running backs coach James Saxon was arrested for domestic battery during camp and is now on leave. The most important issue, though, is with Kyler Murray. Normally, a player getting paid handsomely would be a good thing. But with the controversy that Murray and Arizona went through, it's sketchier than normal. We all know the Cardinals didn't have a choice here. They live and die by Kyler. And not paying him would have been a damning indictment of the current regime. He has flaws, but he's the best option they have. Apparently, one of those flaws is film study? Why did they have to add a clause making him watch at least 4 hours of film a week? You knew it was going to get derided the moment it became public. It's gone now, but still, really weird look, Cardinals. Really weird look. Let's hope you don't collapse in the second half like usual. Even with the teams that are choosing to blow it up and start from scratch, there is still plenty of intrigue with the NFC. So many teams desperate to win a championship or go far into January. And even more trying to make a name for themselves. The NFC East hasn't had a repeat champion in years. So I'm going to maintain that narrative and pick Philly to win it. The NFC North is still Green Bay's to lose, but they're slowly losing grip on their stronghold. The NFC South has a few suitors, but the Bucs are still too loaded to really fail unless they get injured to hell and back. The NFC West? Huge question mark, but I think the Rams are still the team to beat. But what about the wild cards? It's tough to choose, there are so many good options here. In this case, I'm choosing the Niners, Saints, and Vikings. Yes, the Vikings. I think people are sleeping on them. Then again, we've said this about them before, only for them to fall apart. Sorry about that, Minnesota. Panic time in Arizona. To be fair, I didn't expect them to win against Kansas City, even with them losing Tyreek Hill. However, I figured they'd put up a lot more of a fight. And they're looking worse than the team giving Kyler that film study clause. Getting blown the fuck out in their own stadium. When most of those fans seem to be cheering for the Chiefs. This is deeply concerning. The Cardinals aren't supposed to be imploding until at least week 11. With their schedule to start the year, it might get rough and quickly. Especially if they keep performing like this. The defense gave no resistance to Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. As for Kyler, he performed well in garbage time, but NBA 2K23 just came out. He needs to invest time in his online MyCareer profile. What do you get when you have two coaches that fancy themselves as offensive geniuses, yet are forced to rely on talent to bail them out of their own idiocy? Well, you get this game. The first serve went to the Raiders, as they would take an absolutely useless game plan by Kliff Kingsbury and dominate them on all fields of play. For the Cardinals, I wouldn't be worried about the defense. They've been shit for a while. It's the offense that's alarming. This is Kingsbury's baby, and they can do nothing against the black hole. Kyler looks off. The whole system looks out of sorts. It's enough for the Raiders to secure a 20-0 lead against their foes. But what has been the calling card of the modern NFL? Totally coincidental comebacks that are becoming so commonplace that they're losing all meaning. Nothing makes sense anymore. So Kyler Murray goes to the options menu, ups his gameplay sliders all the way to 100 and carries the Cardinals to relevance. My God, it's unbelievable. The endless gaming sessions have amplified his reaction speed. Dude's not only no-scoping 12-year-olds on Call of Duty, he's no-scoping entire defensive schemes. Look at him rubber banding to frustrate every Raiders fan in attendance. This is why Arizona drafted the bastard to begin with. Note that this rambling encompassed one entire 2-point conversion, yet Kyler shows no mercy. It would be nice if the Raiders offense could do something to help, but Josh McDaniels always botches these kinds of situations. Denver could buy you a drink and tell you all about that. However, Arizona has a chance to be seen as utter frauds or utter frauds that somehow won the game. There are endless breaks given to the Cardinals. Happenstance penalties, Kyler Murray adding more tape to a defense's film study, Las Vegas completely exhausted thanks to being stuck on the field for a fucking age. Slowly but surely, the clock whittles away. The Raiders have had countless chances to put this game away, but they failed to do so. Time has ticked down to nothing. Put up or shut up time, kids.
Murray. Stepping up. Gonna run for it. Gonna make the end zone for the touchdown.
Welcome to the unbelievable bullshit of Kyler Murray football. Now prepare for the inevitable 2-point conversion.
From 7 yards out for the 2 points and the tie. Murray directing traffic to the end zone. Diving. And the catch is made. A.J. Green.
Somewhere an Oakland A's executive is crying. This could have been theirs, but he chose to play football. Now with Arizona receiving the ball, they can finish their pathetic opponent off.
Murray gonna throw it deep, down the sideline, and he's got a man, and bounced out of bounds is Marquise Brown.
Hollywood, you couldn't catch that shit? What the fuck did they bring you in for, to flop around and fail miserably? Now the Raiders can return to ruining their own chances at a victory. But you'll say, oh, that's impossible, they're in field goal range. How did they do so now?
Second and 10, quick pass outside, and that is complete. That is low, and Moreau fighting for yardage. The ball is loose again. Picked up by the Cardinals. This is Byron Murphy to the end zone for the touchdown and the win.
Deus Ex Machina, that's how. Oh great, now every media pundit's going to pretend that Kingsbury's a genius when in reality he got bailed out by talent and circumstance. Not to mention, Josh McDaniels is a shit coach who should have never been given another shot to begin with. I personally wish the only win went to Kyler Murray. He was one of the only players who deserved it. Arizona got insanely lucky. They should have lost 12 separate times, yet Las Vegas and the NFL kept nudging shit in their direction. Every game has to be a drug cocktail these days, doesn't it? This league really is gonna kill me.
You blew it! You had it all and you blew it!
Let's look in at Kliff Kingsbury's offensive game plan for his hand-cultivated Cardinals. Yes, just hope that Kyler Murray bails out his incompetence with backyard football and elite talent. It worked against the shitty Raiders, why wouldn't it work again? They're playing a team that consistently owns them in the Rams. They're defensively sound, you say? It doesn't matter. Arizona won't change a damn thing to try and overcome these issues. Just hope Kyler somehow wills the team to a win. LA's offense wasn't even good in this contest. Yet Kliff thinking that this is an online match in Madden hampered any chance of doing anything. Maybe justice will be served for the hire that should have never happened, but we know that's a pipe dream. Kyler will fluke his way to at least 4 wins on his own before that happens. The Rams pretty much got a freeway. In this fight, we have 2 absolute morons thinking they're experts in jiu-jitsu, flailing around like it's interpretive dance. Even when you consider these coaches are 2 of the worst in the league, the unfortunate reality is that they are paid to be incompetent at the national stage. We are not. Therefore, we bitch about them on the internet. Despite not having the money and fame of these men, the Carolina Panthers have proven to be the kings of the shit pile. Matt Rule makes Hugh Jackson look like Vince Lombardi. It's hard to fathom, but with how terrible Carolina looks, even against an Arizona team that is functionally awful on offense, the claim is justified. What the fuck happened to Baker Mayfield? Did he suddenly morph into Johnny Football once he left Cleveland? Even Christian McCaffrey can't carry these sad sacks to any relevance. The fandom is getting pissed. It's gotten so bad they're clamoring for Sam Darnold at QB. Sam Darnold! Dear God, next week they'll be begging for Cam Newton again. The chance to fire Matt Rule are flying down from the seats as well. He's honestly lucky that contract he signed is a massive albatross, or else he'd be batted down at the line like a pass from Baker. It's time for another episode of How Can the Cardinals Beat Both Their Opponent and Kliff Kingsbury to win a game? Philly is going to be a very tough challenge all its own. They're undefeated for a reason, and Arizona's offense is once again struggling to gain any traction early on. Might be time for a change on the play calling front, no? Of course now, while the Eagles look strong, the Cardinals' defense is going to manage to play up to potential. They're giving Jalen Hurts fits. The Philly machine is breaking down as Vance Joseph is probably throwing a bunch of shit in between the gears. As they do their job, Kyler Murray will manage to bail out the coach that holds him back to help Arizona tie the game. Fortunately for the fans in attendance, the Eagles managed to repair their machine to get back to the red zone. But they are stuffed. Wisely, Philly chooses to take the points. But here is where high-end talent comes in. Kyler is pushing the ball by himself. The kind of stuff that makes us wonder what he could do in a real system. He sprints down the field, slides to a stop in field goal range with seconds left, as Kyler proceeds to spike the ball to stop the clock. On 3rd and 1. They can't challenge the spot of the ball even if it was a first down. That's piss poor situational awareness. That's on coaching. And Arizona's now forced to kick for the tie. The problem is that Matt Prater's injured. You have to settle for Matt Amendola.
It's up there. It's out there.
Unreal.
And it's no good in the direction.
I'm surprised someone signed Amendola after his awful showing with the Chiefs. Like many things in Arizona, all efforts to try and carry the team to a win by sheer talent alone are denied. Because as we know from baseball, Philly always manages to execute Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are hyped as having this electric, high-flying offense that can destroy worlds. I'm still waiting for it. They are the Daikatana of the NFL. Boast about how they're going to make you its bitch, then proceed to be a buggy, unplayable mess. Hard to do much of anything when your entire running back room crashes when trying to load. This is the so-called offensive genius of Kingsbury. Ice cold starts on offense and endless fuck-ups in key situations. Arizona still has no kicker, so they proceeded to boot away any chance at a win in the process. 4th and 4 in the second quarter, underthrow the ball to an open man. 4th and 2 at the 35, fucking chuck it deep Grossman style. 4th and 2 at the 25, get sacked in a different time zone. They gave Kyler a film study clause, but what is there to study when he's being ruined by this awful scheming? Seattle won by default as the fun kind of 8-9 franchise that lifts spirits during a rebuilding year. Meanwhile, Arizona screwed porn star style and the head coach and GM's asses are roasting on a spit. Yeah, this team needs the cancer of Robbie Anderson on it. Next week, they'll be trading everything for a set of Texas Tech banners. Aggravatingly bad. No words have more accurately described the Arizona Cardinals. Even with DeAndre Hopkins back, the struggles to launch are very real. However, the Saints were more than eager to hand the game to them on a silver platter. They took inspiration from some of the great restaurants in New Orleans. The finest pastries and turnovers imported from the Bayou. The Red Rifle shooting blanks to bumbling receivers. 2 charitable pick sixes to be used as a tax write-off at the end of the year. Even Arizona, for as done as they are with Kliff Kingsbury, shit couldn't refuse such gifts. Don't worry, New Orleans. Your season's wrecked, but this draft is very QB heavy at the top. Alright, you traded your first to Philly to move up in the last draft. The sales of a beat-up Purple Haze are gonna go through the roof. I would say the Cardinals fans should be rooting for their team to lose, but we all know the Bidwells are too inept to do the right thing. They'll let their team be run into the ground and they'll do it with a smile on their face. Against Minnesota, Arizona lived up to the Cardinal rule. Whenever you have a chance to win, find a way to screw the pooch. Their opponent was definitely beatable. The Vikings apparently met with their ancestors beforehand. It apparently caused them to hallucinate and shit themselves in a ton of situations. Even then, the Cards find ways to fuck it up. Kyler Murray misused his kill streak perk and made another foolish pass for a pick. Minnesota fumbled to give Arizona prime field position. Good news, Kyler fucked the ball again. Another brutal interception when being down by 1 score. An ill-conceived turnover on downs. As I said, they are aggravatingly bad, even with DeAndre Hopkins playing God himself. Here's some film for you to study, Kliff. Why is Pat Pete able to rightfully shit on the organization and launch a tactical nuke? Even he's shitting on Kyler. I think at this point, no one wants the Cardinals to succeed. The football world hates the way Kliff Kingsbury wastes talent. The rivals want them to remain miserable. The fans simply want the pain to end. The thing is, when you're hyped as the forefront of offensive play, you'd think you could score touchdowns in the first half. The Cardinal offense, shocker to no one, is still a discombobulated calamity. Kyler Murray is turning into an insanely inconsistent QB as fast as he fumbles balls away on critical drives. Arizona's defense is the only thing keeping them afloat, and even they can only do so much to hold off Seattle. The unsung attack of the Seahawks lacks known commodities, but they are just as potent as they were in the days of the Legion of Boom. Even their defense, with the likes of Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, are ending the dreams of Arizona. Their surprise season continues on with a win against a train wreck of a team. Their 4th win in a row. Please give Kyler some real coaching. Texas Tech boy ran his course here the moment he was hired. Sometimes the best matchups come with an element of surprise. For the Cardinals and Rams, there would be a stipulation. No starting quarterbacks allowed. Both Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford would be out of this game for varying reasons. This would be an epic duel between Colt McCoy and AAF legend John Wolford. Colt McCoy, you could argue, was better than Kyler would have been. He was efficient, clean, and did a solid job in an emergency. John Wolford did not. To be fair, is that really on him, or are the Rams just that much of a mess? I'm going to argue the latter. No team should give Arizona such a convincing victory with all the chaos going on. I know I'll hear the yelling from 13 people about fuck them picks, and that's fine. I'm not the one laughing at you. It's Detroit. They send thanks for a potentially high first rounder. San Francisco needs to clean the bugs off its front grill after this one. They flew through Mexico like they were gun running for the cartel. The vermin that happened to be in their way were the Arizona Cardinals. You could say they didn't have Kyler, but he wouldn't have mattered whatsoever. Shanahan's offense was nigh unstoppable for most of the night. A healthy spread to all of their weapons to make sure everyone was fed properly. What we saw is what the Niners can be at full strength on both sides of the ball. Getting the engines revved against a pathetically irrelevant franchise like the Cards can only be a good sign. Down here, San Fran was in a completely different class. Arizona looked like they just gave up halfway through the game by trying to disconnect from the server. Cards, if only you could rage quit those extensions you gave the failures you call a head coach and GM this past offseason. There's playing yourself, and then there's being hoodwinked by men that have done nothing at this level. Or any level, to be honest. Can we just airlift JJ Watt out of there like we did in Houston? Let him take DeAndre, too. I wish we could just give both of these teams losses. Nothing frustrates me more as a fan of the game than wasted potential. The Chargers and Cardinals fit this profile perfectly. Arizona's problems are well known. Mainly every damn thing. Formerly San Diego's problems are starting to be known. Mostly the fact that their team is a hollow shell of what it's supposed to be. Blame injuries all you want, but a lot more than that's holding the team back. The offensive game plan has devolved into having Justin Herbert bail them out of every given situation. He's forced to do it with 11 zillion screen passes to Austin Eckler. Sadly, he cannot play defense, since it once again sucks like it did last season. The Cardinals are maintaining the lead, but it's very, very hollow. You're just sitting there waiting for the Chargers to do something, hell, anything with this game, yet it all keeps going to shit. A total disaster played out on a football field, with both teams trying to give the other an undeserved win. Speaking of disasters, Arizona can't seal the game with minutes left. The Bolts can be saved. A narrative's been going around recently that Justin Herbert isn't clutch. I can smell the bullshit from here. Once again, do you want him to play defense? That's the reason why the Chargers keep losing. You want clutch? He's taken these fuckers to the red zone single-handedly.
Herbert. He'll have his choice. And Eckler, touchdown! He got it!
That TD makes him a social media quarterback, doesn't it? It's here Brandon Staley realizes he's fighting for his job. They'll go for 2 to put us out of our misery.
Trying for 2. Got it! They've got the lead! It's the tight end, Jared Everett!
The Chargers get away with an ineptly planned game for the 4th time this year. Bravo, you beat an incredibly dysfunctional team led by a guy who should be the former offensive coordinator at USC. Even Kyler Murray's openly saying Kingsbury's a hack. Take it and run, boys. You're just lucky you were playing Arizona. It's been a while since we had one of these. Let's get it started with a bang. Or shall I say a crack. Kyler Murray, congratulations. Your season's been a nightmare and it's only going to get worse. He was merely the appetizer. The insatiable grass in Arizona claimed many bodies today. However, that wasn't enough for the Gods' bloodlust. What they really wanted was the Cardinals franchise as a whole. Witnessing them in this decrepit state, chucking Colt McCoy with a playbook built around Kyler just proved that they are useless. The franchise is literally dead, devoid of any hope, motivation, hunger, or logic whatsoever. This isn't even slander. The whole team is simply going through the motions to cash a paycheck. New England, shitty offense and all, put up 20 unanswered points against them. It's pretty easy to do when you're up against a team as poorly coached as Arizona is. The Pats look like they were back in their dynasty days. All that to get back to a playoff spot. Pretty impressive when only one side of the ball works. I'd like to close with a joke. 5-year extensions for Steve Keim and Kliff Kingsbury. The playoff push is reaching its final stages. Only one spot has been clinched by Philadelphia, but 4 weeks remain. Philadelphia obviously has number 1 seed, but the division is still up for grabs. Minnesota, after an ugly loss this past week, is still 2nd seed, and the NFC North is technically secured as well. The torrid pace of the Niners has them starting to run away with the West in 3rd place right now. But the NFC South is best not discussed. Tampa Bay only has it because the division is straight up awful. Meanwhile, Dallas is sitting pretty with 10 wins and first wild card. After that, it's a mosh pit. Washington and the Giants are currently tied at 7-5-1, and Seattle struggling to maintain form with an easy schedule. Detroit's creeping up though, and don't forget the rest of the garbage in the NFC South still has a chance. The picture will become clearer as time goes on. And as we all know, there's only one rule to follow.
Don't get eliminated!
The less said about this slog, the better. Both starting QBs are out, so Denver must ride to battle with Brett Rippon under center against Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was knocked out of the game early due to a concussion. If Arizona wasn't enough of a meme already, the man under center is now Trace McSorley. Now, only if Broncos country could face the Cardinals every week, they'd not only be able to win, but score more than 16 points in a fucking game. It only goes to show how completely dead Arizona is as a franchise. Not only losing to a walking punchline in the league, but already starting to see the foundations unravel. Cardinals Thanos has taken an indefinite leave of absence due to health issues, and will probably be snapped out of existence with a shred of dignity as a result. They foolishly thought that bringing in a failed college coach would jolt them out of a dark age. It's only made things worse. I figured this was going to be a weak year for the Cards, but this is outright pathetic. Tampa Bay is either the luckiest team alive or being nudged into the playoffs for ratings. I have no other explanation as to how they can look so unbelievably terrible yet be in line for a division title. They have shitty coaching, shitty quarterbacking, shitty running backs, a shitty O-line, shitty scheming, and keep shitting up drives with shit penalties. Tom Brady has declined hard. It's like he's either got Adam Schefter on his mind or is burned out on this team. And you struggle against the Arizona fucking Cardinals? Trotting out Trace McSorley to flail around? You're really having trouble with this? Oh wait, I've seen this movie 100 times before. It's where Tom Brady Houdinis his way to a win because his opponent is complete sheepdog. Wow, I'm in fucking awe of the Bucks barely beating a Kliff Kingsbury coached team. I'm gonna suck your dicks like the media does when you play like ass for 55 minutes again. The Bucks were so bad they had to use overtime to beat their opponent. And everyone pretends that Brady had a great game when it was one of the worst of his career. I've seen reality TV shows that felt less scripted than this. Way to be fucking useless, Arizona. Guess that's what happens when you're owned by a fail son of a fail son. You may look at this matchup and see a pointless game. You wonder how David Blau is able to start a football game in the year of our Lord 2023. Yet I implore you to give this matchup some love. Both of these franchises may be dead in the water, but the glories of draft position are at stake. Auditions for next year's team are underway with haste. Jobs are on the line with every second that ticks. The dreams of an NFL career are being forced to update your resume. For you see, there is much that is meaningful in these kinds of affairs. It wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but it was played. And in the end, it's all that matters. What happened in it is unimportant. All you need to know is that field goals were kicked, and Atlanta pulled away in the end on a walk-off Younghoe Koo dagger. Even when there's nothing at stake, the Cardinals are still useless. Fire Kliff Kingsbury last week. To think the careers of J.J. Watt and A.J. Green would end like this, rotting away in a retirement home of chaos. That has been the Arizona Cardinals for most of their franchise's history. And it continued against the team that ended up becoming what they so desperately tried to be when they cloned Texas Tech. When you settle for David, I allow others to plow my wife, it's going to be a rough day. I don't care if rumors of Kingsbury and Keim being exposed for their grift spread like wildfire. Those two should have never been extended in the first place. When you see San Francisco, it's a tale of haves and have-nots. It's a team of stability and offensive weapons. A team boasting an elite defense. A team that can plug in a 7th-round rookie named Big Cock Brock and still run ramshot against anyone. It's why their moves have allowed them to win 10 straight, secure the 2nd seed in the NFC, and look to be heavy favorites to make it to the Super Bowl. What did the Cardinals get? Jack and shit. As it's always been and always will be. I knew the Cardinals were going to be bad this season. Too much drama surrounding the team. Too much tension between Kyler and Kingsbury to forge ahead. But even then, to see this out of them, it was something I hadn't imagined in my wildest dreams. Every single hater and critic of this team over the past half-decade was vindicated. It played out like a dark comedy on Amazon Prime. Beautiful schadenfreude for all of us to say we fucking told you so. Kyler openly rebelling against the men that brought him into this train wreck on a weekly basis. And when he was done calling those above him utterly useless, he tore his ACL on a non-contact play. He's getting his bag, so don't worry about him. The defense didn't do much better in response. Very shocking indeed. Kingsbury and Keim were sent packing for a long vacation to Thailand. And while we all saw this car crash coming from a mile away, Arizona is in complete chaos. They're locked into a vision that was terrible from the moment ink was put to paper. Wasted potential and millions of dollars everywhere you look. Kyler not coming back from his injury until the middle of next season. And DeAndre Hopkins about to be traded like this team's managed by Bill O'Brien. J.J. Watt and A.J. Green died for this. The Cardinals have always been irrelevant. Run by a failure of an owner raised by a failure before him. It's why they're in the fucking mess they're in to begin with. Good riddance.